So let's further continue our Baxter example, and from that one we are here our learning objective 2, that is assign cost to cost pools using first stage allocation. So the name is a little bit fancy, but the implementation or calculation is very easy. So let's don't waste our time and try to understand that. With our learning objective 2, here comes our second step in assigning implementing the ABC, that is to assign overhead cost to activity cost pools. So the statement shown here is basically the overhead cost of the Baxter batteries, which include both manufacturing and non-manufacturing. So they have provided the overhead, so you can just see that the production department total overhead is 14 million, which is exactly equal to the manufacturing overhead at the income statement. If you just go back and see the income statement, you will see that the 14 million is basically the manufacturing overhead in the income statement, and the total cost of for the general, administrative and marketing expenses, that is which is basically equals to the department is general administrative department, that is 6 million, and the marketing department, which include wages and selling expenses, that is 2 million. So we can just say that our total overhead cost is 22 million. That is information that the Baxter companies they provided for their manufacturing and non-manufacturing costs. So question arises that why our direct material and direct labors and shipping are excluded. Why? Because they can be easily or directly traced by the company. So these are not overhead, they are direct cost, right? So all the system that we just learned, traditional costing, ABC costing, relevant costing, and all those stuff, they are based on calculating or implementing the manufacturing overhead, which is indirect material. Let me just write it. Indirect material and indirect labor, right? Which cannot be easily traced out or which we cannot measure easily, and we call that manufacturing overhead, right? So all these cost systems, they are implemented to calculate or to apply manufacturing overhead on the products, right? So ABC is also one of them, that how we can allocate our manufacturing overhead onto the products, right? So that's why we are not including direct material, direct labor and shipping, because they are easily traceable, directly traceable, so they are variable cost, direct cost, we can easily calculate that. Okay, so here, so the Baxter batteries cross-functional team from marketing department, production department, and from the factory or the office department, their interview resulted in a resource allocation as shown here, right? First of all, we allocated we find out the cost pool, and we find out customer order, design cost, order cost, customer relation, and others, right? And now the second step is assign overhead cost to activity cost pools, in which we start first stage allocation, in which they find out the percentage that how much belongs to what kind of activity. So for example here, that among the production department, the indirect wages, factory wages, 30% belong to customer order, 30% belong to design changes, 20% belong to order size, 10% belong to customer relation, and the rest is 10% it belongs to other. So hence this is 100%. So now you can easily understand that in first step we basically identify our cost pools, right? And our cost driver as well, right? So who drives our customer orders? Number of orders, right? Who drives our design changes? The design change, number of design changes requested, right? It's like that. Similarly, among the production department, when the team interviews the production department employees, they find out that the factory equipment depreciation 20% belongs to customer order, 10% belong to design change, 60% belong to order size, 0% belong to the customer relations, and rest 10% belongs to other. So are you noticing that the total is always 100%? What does it mean? It means that this cost, factory utility cost, we divide this cost into 5 activities: customer orders, design change, order size, customer relation, and other, right? This is how you get from the interview, and you divide all these into the cost pools. So it means indirect wages, it is divided, right, into customer order, design change, order size, customer relation, and others. Similarly, the selling expense, just write it here, right? The selling expense is also divided into customer orders, design changes, order size, customer relation, and others. So you see that all the 100% shipping cost is divided into percentage of the customer order. And you can guess easily the next step, that is you just calculate the numbers. So let's talk about on the next slide. So where this 1.8 million came from, we know that the indirect factory wages, they are 6 million, right? So you see the arrow here, 6 million. And we know that the indirect factory wages, they are 30%. So 30% of the 6 million is 1.8 million. So you just write indirect factory wages here, 1.8 million, right? And then where this 700,000 came from, so you see that the factory equipment depreciation, right? And factory equipment depreciation is how much? 3.5 million. And the customer order percentage in factory equipment depreciation is 20%. So 20% of 3.5 million is 700,000, right? So you are just converting percentage into numbers. So similarly, you fill out all the percentage values here. So factory utilities 0% of the customer order, so here is 0. So we just put the values here. So you notice here that the total is 6 million of the indirect factory wages, which is equal to our given numbers in our the statement that provides manufacturing and non-manufacturing cost data, right? So hence our total 22 million, which belongs to both manufacturing cost and our non-manufacturing costs. So we divided this 22 million into 5 cost pools according to first stage allocation. That is, we interview the employees, production department, administrative department, marketing department, and we find out that how much these costs belongs to our 5 categories, and we just put the values here. And so we divided 6 million of the indirect factory wages into 1.8 million customer order, 1.8 million design changes, 1.2 million order size, and 600,000 customer relation, that is 4. And number 5, which is other, also 600,000, right? Similarly, all these data, right? So this is the completed grid of first stage allocation as shown on your screen. Again, to further understand our first stage allocation, I have pasted exercise 8.2 and it's page 337 to 338 on your book chapter. So I'm just giving you 5 minutes to read all this information, and then we're going to start looking at the requirement of first stage allocation. Okay, this is the company's data. Company has divided its activity based costing into 5 activity cost pools, and the segregation of the data is given as this driver and guard wages is categorized into 5 categories, like 50% of this $720,000 that belongs to travel, 35% of the 720,000 belongs to pickup and delivery, 10% belongs to customer service, and other is 5%. So I have pasted this complete solution on the next slides, and let's discuss the solution. So we know that company has given the driver and guard wages 720,000. So 50% of 720,000 is 360,000. 35% belongs to pickup and delivery, that is 252,000. 10% belongs to customer service, here is 72,000, and 5% belongs to other, that is 36,000. So this is how you fill the grid first stage allocation, right? So let's pick up this office expenses. So the office expenses total 30,000, and the office expenses, the activity cost pool, that it belongs to the travel 0%, 20% to the pickup and delivery, 30% customer service, other 50%. So 50% of 30,000 is 15,000, right? This is how you are making the first stage allocation grid. Customer service 30%, 30% of 30,000, 9,000. 20% of the 30,000 is 6,000, and 0% of 30,000, 0%, right? So at the end you just add all the values and you find out activity cost pools, right? So how much is the activity cost pool for travel? You add all, answer is 628,000. How much is the activity cost pool for pickup and delivery? Totaled here 306,000. Customer services totaled 417,000. Others 279,000, right? If you still have any ambiguity, so do write us on our WeChat group and do write the question, and we're going to discuss in our Zoom live meeting. Okay.